Yo, what is up, guys, and welcome to Conquest Reforged. Today, I'm giving you guys a little bit of a sneak preview of kind of what I want to be working on in the future with Conquest Reforged. As I mentioned in our last Building with Whip episode, I was really looking at getting back into a plot. So their server's been having some issues, as you guys probably know, who are members over there. And so I didn't want to get anything started until that new server gets up, which I've been told it's going to be within the next few weeks, but that's all dependent on everything working smoothly. So that is not me saying it's coming out then, just clarifying. They're working towards it. They're getting there as quickly as they can. But guys, I wanted to get right to work. So I made a little bit of a 25 by 25 inspiration plot that I've been working on here. Just getting the general idea of it, and I wanted to show it to you guys and kind of work through and talk with you guys about the palettes we're going to be using and kind of going from there. So without any further ado, let's check it out. So it's not totally finished by any means at all, but I want to give you guys the general idea of what we're going with here. Sorry about that. But so the whole idea behind the plot is to have a very dense forest region that is very dark, kind of gloomy and overgrown and very lush environment that some small village or something is set inside. And it's all going to be based around large rivers, which of course, yeah, there's a huge river right here. But yeah, so that's kind of the general idea that I want to be going with. We're going to be using a lot of trees that are kind of from the region that I actually live in, the Pacific Northwest, just because I feel like that could be kind of fun to work with the things that are actually like in my immediate vicinity, so I can like say go walk down to the park and see what the trees are. But yeah, so what I want to show you guys today is kind of where we're going with this, and then also kind of talk with you guys a palette, what ideas I have, where we're going, and that type of stuff. So I made this one house with a little shed more or less on it. The interiors are not done on it, but I can kind of show you guys the general idea I'm thinking of. So we got this guy right here that's it's out of the nailed oak planks. And then the roof is reinforced oak planks with some thatch on it, just kind of roughening it up, kind of making it look more like it was heaped on top of there instead of just being the straight orderly roof that it probably could be. And I really like this idea where it has this cool little overhang right here in the middle of it. I'm super excited to be working with things like this. Just creating a little covered area that would more or less block the rain, block whatever would be dripping off the trees, because we want this to be a very, very wet atmosphere, which means the trees will be dripping constantly. And for a lot of you guys who grew up in like forested regions, like I grew up in the middle of a state park pretty much. My neighborhood was like right inside it. And we had trees around us everywhere. And I probably had like 60, 70 trees on the property that I grew up on, which is pretty crazy. But more or less, because I'm up in Washington where it rains all the time during the winter, and for the few days that we'd get where it wasn't raining, it didn't matter because we lived in the park and there's so many trees above us that the water would just constantly drip and drip and drip, and it just felt like it was a small steady rain still going on because the trees held so much water in them on their leaves. And that's really the type of atmosphere I want to be getting off with this place. So a lot of the village and whatnot is going to still be very, very overgrown. And I'm kind of going back to my roots here in this project. Haha, get it? Trees, forest, roots. Ha. But it's just kind of something that I really want to try and go with. And I think it could be a really cool project to work on. I think the plot that I'm going to be choosing when we actually get to it is going to be 280 by 280, which this is 25 by 25. So basically figure 11 of these, more or less. So it's gonna be a big plot. We're gonna have a lot of room to work with, and it's gonna be large enough to actually get the idea down that I want to go with. And yeah, so we're still rambling on about everything. This video is mostly just gonna be talking, kind of showing you guys what I'm thinking, what we might be looking towards, and I really want to get a lot of feedback from you guys on what you guys think about this. But anyways, I want a lot of the houses to be kind of this thatch roof style, so a little bit more rundown foresty type people. So we're gonna have a lot of fireplaces. They're probably just gonna be like campfires and things, but the way for the smoke to get out, that's a huge model. The way for the smoke to get out is gonna be like through little holes in the roof, more or less, that are gonna be protected to block the rain and wind and like just debris off the trees from getting in with like these little wattle fences and whatnot. But overall, it's gonna be very, very simple. Granted, we're gonna have a actual like civilization area that's probably gonna have like a wooden wall around it somewhere on the plot, like up on a plateau or something, kind of breaking through the rooftops of the forest. But I think it could be kind of cool. What I really want to do is I really want to lay out all the nature and get all the terrain done, and then we can kind of pick and decide on where the village is going to be going, because I'm really, really interested in creating trees and things like that. We got this one willow tree right over here. I know willow trees commonly are by water, and the reason why I made this make sense is right down here there's a bunch of muddy dirt, so like mud everywhere that would kind of be more moist and everything. Then this little spot right here is actually a way for like water to kind of, that the water comes into this area and gets trapped here in between this little lower area and next to the building, which turns it into all this muddy bit. So what we could actually do here is kind of come in here and probably place some of the mud right in here, just trying to make it fit in a bit more and actually kind of more make sense for it being all of this wet area down here, and probably won't have too much in the way of the grass. We can leave that one guy right in there, maybe put some old podzol in there. And I really, really like the idea of trying to work with a lot of different colors in the terrain, because all the leaves would be falling off the trees. So we got our podzol in here, we got our fir forest floor, which is just a bunch of like fir leaves. So we got the oak leaves and whatnot. And then we got some mossy rock dirt, which is going to be doing just kind of the moss, that extra moisture and wetness. And then we have some more overgrown podzol. It's basically a lot of different types of podzol and very, very little grass actually in here, unless we make a clearing specifically to have some grass in it. But like I was saying, it's a lot of the podzols and a lot of the like forest floors and things like that. And down here, actually working on the road, we have the dark dirt path. We have taiga forest floor, which is a bit darker. And I think it works better for the pass because it could have like something. That fireplace over there is tripping me out, man. But it just kind of gives a cool color difference. Like it's still kind of that forest floor, so it's got some leaves and pine needles and whatnot in it. But overall, it's a bit darker, so I think it works better for kind of separating the paths out. And I like having the path lowered down by the layers, kind of giving it its own separate feel. Like the inhabitants are actually trying to keep it clean and clear it out so they can keep moving through it while the vines are trying to overgrow and like move into the area. So we have the Lothlorien dirt, one of the articraft blocks. We got the dark dirt path. We got dirt gravel. We got just regular dirt, and we got a little bit of mud spattered here and there, just trying to make it a little bit more wet, you know, trying to really, really get that feel across. I'm pretty pumped to see where we can go with it. But we got all this cool stuff, and we can take a look at the rocks next. I'm trying to go with a different style of how to do the mountains. Before I would kind of work from dark going up to light, and what I want to work with here is a similar thing of dark going up to light. But you can see here it looks pretty interesting, more or less, than what it would be if we just kind of went the gradient, because the top would mostly be the rough granite. So this guy over here is just kind of a flat wall I made that kind of really gives a good example of what I'm thinking about here. So we're using mostly the blue schist stone just because I want to work with something different. I feel like that's kind of, that blue is kind of a wet tone to it. And then it also has a mossy variant and a lichen variant, which is basically like fungus, like fungal growth on it, more or less. So we have those, which give us a good idea. Then down here I have the gray whack at the bottom, which is kind of going to be our darker tone. Sorry, my throat is bugging me so much today. So we have the gray whack at the bottom, and I kind of want to work with it, kind of going in lines, building across the area, so it kind of just stretches, and we have these cool lines, like which would naturally appear when you're looking at stones. Think the Minecraft Mesa biome, except better. It's not going to be the default vanilla where it's just straight line, straight line, straight line, straight line. We're going to try and mix it up and have some cool variations to it. Then up here at the top, we have our rough granite. Our rough granite is going to be our lighter tone, and it's not even that much lighter. I really want to get that dark feel across it in this area, and I know it's pretty light right now because our shaders are on, but once we get all these trees in here, I think it's going to be really cool. I don't want to go too crazy on this one because I probably won't be able to get the schematics over onto the Reforged server, just because that's kind of, I don't really want to bug the devs too much. They're already basically giving me a giant plot for nothing. So we'll see how that goes. And that's kind of the general idea behind the mountain right there. You guys can see the forest floor here. And as far as the buildings, I like this style here that I probably already briefly mentioned this earlier, but I like this style here. I probably want to change up some of the nailed oak planks and whatnot just to get a bit more variation into it. And really, these new Rebellion blocks are added in with the birch beams, or the beams and the, because you have your beams right here. And if you right click on it again, it gives you that cool actual like support bit to it. And then you can kind of bring that out here and just do stuff like that. I'm really excited to start working with things like this for the larger interiors of, say, like an inn, a town center, just things like that where the roof needs a lot more support. Man, I don't know what is up with me today. But yeah, so I'm thinking we'll do a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of little small farms. We won't really have to supply them with water because the area is going to be so wet that the ground's pretty much always going to be saturated. And during the summer months, there's not going to be enough sun getting in there. So we got to really pick our plants that don't need a whole lot of sun for them to grow. Right here, I did a few little turnips just because, but like what I'm thinking overall we're going to do, we'll probably have some wheat in here. We can go throw them onto the side. We'll have our wheat. We'll probably have some corn, some beans, some cabbage probably, just like all these different types. I want to get a lot of variation in there so that it's some thyme, sure, some herbs and whatnot. Always cool to have those in there. And yeah, so there's gonna be a lot of different things in here. This plot is gonna be pretty large, and I'm really excited to work on it. Because like we'll have this, we'll have our corn, which can be grown all those different heights, giving a little height variation here. The pole beans don't actually go up more than one, so we have regular beans, cabbage, thyme, and then if we do the turnips, it's not a good image for a turnip. There we go. That's a better one. But I think that's going to be a good variation for different crops because we don't want to go too crazy and literally include everything in there. Granted, this is already pretty much most of the crops. We can probably get rid of that and just have the pole beans. So we can do this and bring those guys over here. And I think that's pretty good. That's 6 different types of crops. If you guys have ideas on other ones we want to include, let me know. We can go ahead and always look at more options and kind of pursue different ways. But I'm really interested in using all these bushes and things that they have because they're actually like the cool little model now instead of just being the little flat guy. There's that one. We have the hawthorn bush, which I think is going to be a lot of our undergrowth. It looks kind of basically like a leaf that's just really blown up, which is okay with me. Like I'm fine with that. I think we'll mix it in. I don't want to go too crazy with it. So we'll probably do like something like that with a lot of these little guys. But I want the non-pathway areas to be very lush and a lot of cool things. Like we'll add in some ant hills and whatnot. Because like say we have the ant block. Where is it? No, where's the... I know it's in here somewhere. I'm still relearning the menu as we get going. Ants. Yeah, so we have this which has little ants crawling all over it. And there's a layer block for it, so you can make like a cool little anthill right here. Granted, this thing's probably like way larger than it would actually need to be realistic, but it's Minecraft, so we like to go a little over crazy with it. So something like that, create a cool little anthill, and you can make some giant ones throughout the forest, just adding those points of interest to promote exploring around. And we'll create a lot of little like animal tracks, like pass through the forest, because that's pretty natural. Animals have their way of traveling and they consistently travel in the same areas. As you can see, there's a lot to this. I'm pretty excited about it. There's so much going on. What is peat? What is that? Looks like burnt ground almost, or like really dry ground. That's a cool block though. Huh. I don't think we'll use it, but it's a cool block. But yeah, there's just so much to it that we want to be working with here. Definitely going to have more roof styles than this one, but I'm a big fan of kind of these lower areas. We're going to use a lot of the Rebellion blocks that are recently added because I think they're cool and new, and why not use them? So we got like this cool hand cart wagon here. That is just, I think it's just really interesting. But there's a lot of different things we can go forward and work with here. But guys, I just want to give you all a general idea of what I'm thinking about for this project and kind of put it out there, let you guys know that I'm actually working on it, and see where we're going to go from there. And with that, though, let me know what you guys think about this, if you have ideas on where we can go with it and things to move farther forward with this project, and kind of the general idea that we're going with, extra blocks to add into the palette, different things. Send me pictures over on Twitter or something like that. Tweet them at me. Let me know those things in the description or in the comments down below if you guys have other ideas. But I'm totally open to trying new things and seeing where we can take this project, because I think it'll be really, really cool once we actually kind of get things going. And I'm pretty excited for it, as you guys can probably tell. But with that, guys, I'm out of time for this episode. This was just a short one to get you guys up to speed on what I'm doing right here. But with that, I will see you all in the next episode.